What is up, guys? J'espère que vous allez bien, que vous êtes en pleine forme. Bienvenue sur le podcast Conversation Awesome avec Karmakin. A place where we speak Franglish, say the word awesome a lot, mais surtout un endroit d'inspiration et d'éducation pour vous aider à optimiser votre santé globale from the inside out. Mon nom est Claudia, fondatrice de Karmakin, et ma mission avec ce podcast est de t'amener dans un monde de développement personnel, d'optimisation d'habitudes de vie et de découverte so you can unleash your potential and live the life you truly want and deserve. Merci d'être à l'écoute. You're awesome. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the show, or welcome if this is your first time. Aujourd'hui, je suis super fébrile, reconnaissante, excited de vous présenter l'invité pour cette conversation awesome. Ça fait longtemps que je vous en parle, ça fait plusieurs fois que je mentionne son nom. Et oui, aujourd'hui, j'ai l'honneur de jaser avec mon propre coach, Joe Arko. Joe a littéralement transformé ma vie dans la dernière année et demie et même avant ça. Sans rentrer dans les détails, je l'ai rencontré la première fois en 2017 lors d'un événement qui s'appelait le Strong Summit à Toronto. Puis Joe était conférencier là-bas, puis je me souviens à la fin, j'ai été le voir, j'ai serré la main dans ma tête, j'étais comme ouais, j'ai vraiment été marquée par son speech, son mindset, sa présence, puis j'avais comme un gut feeling qu'un jour on allait travailler ensemble. Puis dans ma tête, je me suis même dit, oh, one day I'm gonna be best friends with him, là, tu sais. Après cet événement-là, j'ai commencé à le suivre sur les réseaux sociaux. C'est là que j'ai découvert évidemment sa fiancée Sarah, qui est devenue maintenant aussi ma coach, mais aussi une très très bonne amie. Et avec plusieurs mois et même une année ou deux, en faisant leurs défis, en écoutant le podcast à Sarah, en étant abonnée à leur infolette, en les suivant sur social media, bien, j'ai tellement cliqué avec leur approche au niveau du coaching, avec leur façon de vivre leur vie aussi, tant au niveau de la business en tant qu'entrepreneur, mais juste en tant que personne, hein, de grandir, d'évoluer, d'avoir cette croissance personnelle-là qui est tellement importante que, bon, j'ai fait leur mentorship en 2018. Après ça, j'avais arrêté un petit peu le coaching avec eux parce que, bon, je travaillais sur d'autres choses, j'étais en voyage aussi. Et comme vous m'entendez dire plusieurs fois là, dans les épisodes précédents, ben je suis dans leur mastermind depuis à peu près 1 an et demi. Donc, coaching de proximité, j'ai un appel avec Joe à toutes les semaines, tout comme mes clientes ont un appel, un check-in avec moi à toutes les semaines ou à chaque 2 semaines. Et nos sujets de conversation varient de mes relations personnelles à, évidemment, la business, prochain lancement, marketing, les ventes, spiritualité, méditation. Fait qu'on parle vraiment de tout. Il y a, évidemment, un coaching en business, mais avec une approche qui est très, très holistique. Un peu comme moi qui coach, évidemment, en entraînement, en nutrition, mais de façon très, très globale et très, très holistique aussi. Donc, bref, tout ça pour dire que Joe, comme je disais, a été probablement une des personnes qui a eu le plus d'impact positif, qui m'a aidé à grandir, à évoluer, à devenir l'entrepreneur, mais aussi la personne que je suis aujourd'hui. Puis c'est pour ça que je suis tellement excited de vous le faire entendre, de vous permettre de rentrer dans son monde un petit peu. Et la conversation d'aujourd'hui, je veux vraiment que vous l'écoutiez de façon mindful. Fait que pas dans le background en faisant 1 million d'affaires en même temps. Prenez le temps de l'écouter, chaque phrase, chaque chose, parce que vous allez voir qu'il va vous challenger, tout comme moi, il me challenge à chaque semaine. Il tells it how it is. Il y a un bagage d'expérience de vie, évidemment, dans le domaine du health and fitness aussi, mais après avoir travaillé une 20aine d'années dans ce domaine-là, de se réinventer un petit peu, mais ça va quand même ensemble dans le business coaching et là, de faire du coaching dans le développement personnel aussi. Fait que bref, son approche, son expérience, son mindset, ses qualités, sa personnalité aussi, vous allez voir, fait de lui quelqu'un de vraiment, vraiment impactful and influential in my life. So bref, j'en dis pas plus. I'm not telling you more. You guys have to listen to this very carefully, this awesome conversation. Évidemment, la conversation va être en anglais. If you have any questions for me or Joe at the end, reach out, ça va nous faire plaisir. Puis sinon, ben, j'ai juste à vous dire, bonne écoute, prenez des notes, and yeah, get ready to have your mind blown. Welcome, Joe, to this awesome conversation. Bienvenue dans cette conversation awesome.
Bienvenue, merci beaucoup. Glad to be here today. I'm so pumped for this. I really been looking forward to this all week.
Yes, I'm super grateful to have you on. And before we get started, I want to acknowledge you, Joe, because I talk about you all the time, even in pretty much all of my other podcast episodes, just being like, oh, I learned this from Joe and I use this from my coach Joe and the mastermind. So you've been a huge, huge part of my growth, #growth on steroids, for the past couple years. And the things I learned from you, I use with my clients as well. So I want to do that today, like getting to know your knowledge, your wisdom, picking your brain so that you can help my audience the way you do with me. So again, thank you so much for all your help in the last few years.
Thank you so much for just that recognition and what you said. It's kind of weird because as I'm hearing you say that, it's like I hear myself saying that about by my mentors and the people that have helped me get to where I am. And there's no better feeling to be like, I just happen to be in the right place at the right time and curious enough to get this information. And sometimes this information, I don't even know why I have it, but then I get to help someone like you, and then you help other people with it. It's cool to see that ripple effect that I don't think we talk about enough sometimes. That it's just really cool to hear. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I always tell my clients and even the people who listen to the podcast, like coaches need coaches, right? And we're all on the same path. We're just, at different places on our path, and like growth is important. And sometimes we feel like we have like the path is very long and we're never going to get there. But this is when having coaches or listening to podcasts like this or conversations can give you that little nudge or that little help or that little coaching call every Tuesday morning to make sure that we keep growing. So again, thank you for this. I'm excited for my listeners to discover the Joe magic in this conversation.
Well, I'm an open book, so let's have some fun today. Let's see what comes out of this and ask away. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, amazing. So you have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. I think one title we could give you is that you're an expert in metaphors and analogies, right?
It is on my Instagram page, yes.
Okay, there we go. And one of the analogy or metaphor that you use is the ceiling fan. And so I want us to go there a little bit because the way you describe the ceiling fan analogy, I think is very eye-opening for anybody who feels stuck in their growth path and they're trying all the things and reading all the books, but they're still in that low vibration mindset energy, or they're moving forward on their path or going up in the ceiling fan analogy, but then people around them are maybe not moving forward with them, which is hard for them to kind of navigate through that. So let's dive into that a little bit.
We're starting with the ceiling fan.
Oh, we are. It's us,
The ceiling fan actually came from a cottage trip with me and my buddy Kennedy Lodato, and we just started talking life, and we're talking about kind of like leveling up and rising up and crabs and pushing you down and like darkness and light and all this other stuff. And I'm watching this ceiling fan just kind of like go around and around and around. And I got a flood of just analogies from like, I wouldn't put my hand up to stop it, to slowing it down, to moving it the other way, to which direction is it pushing the air. And so I started looking at a ceiling fan and kind of like identify which direction you're going in, because the ceiling fan can go two ways, right? It's pushing air down or pulling air up.
Right.
And I started to think about which direction am I going in? And so am I in the direction of rising up, as we call it, and leveling up and climbing up? Or am I really spinning in the wrong direction and digging myself my own grave? And maybe it's slow, maybe it's fast. So I started the concept just kind of hit me. And so what I've done now is I kind of look at the emotional frequency scale, and I look at it as the ceiling fan. So the ceiling fan pulling everything up is like those positive frequencies. Again, we have I'm just looking things up here: willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment. All these positive frequencies and emotions are kind of me looking at the ceiling fan going up, optimistic, looking up, rising up. Then we have the ceiling fan that's going down or going in the wrong direction. We've heard this before. We've heard I'm spinning out of control. Well, where does that term called? Like, what do you mean? And so I look at it as like almost a screw as well. Like, are you screwing it down and in, or are you screwing it up? And one's going in the right way, one's going the wrong way. And when we start looking at shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, these are all negative emotions that are now spinning us out of control. And it really put me on this path of going, which side of the ceiling fan am I on most days? And it really started to get me thinking more about frequency management more than anything else.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know how deep you want to get into that, but the ceiling fan for me was realizing that I've got control which direction I go in.
Mm-hmm.
My reaction to life determines my direction. So it's my reaction that's going to determine whether I spin up or I spin down.
Mm-hmm.
If I lead with anger, if I lead with courage, I'm going to get different outcomes.
Absolutely.
If I lead with, and this is actually where leading with love came from.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I find people that are spinning in the wrong direction, it's because they're not leading with love. They're leading with anger. They're leading with ego. They're leading with, fear, grief. And when the biggest and the easiest way of stopping that spin and starting to spin in the other direction is just courage, love, adventure for me. That's it. Right. And everything else starts to change. Mm-hmm. It's been 2.5 years since that analogy, and it's turned into a program. It's turned into a little pig story thing that we're doing for kids' books now. It's grown into something pretty amazing that I tried and tested out for the last 2.5 years. And I think if more people realize, what's called the ceiling fan effect, which way are you spinning, and really controlling that, it would help a lot more people. But the biggest issue I see is that, from the ceiling fan, we came up with 6 different levels that you can be at in the ceiling fan. And I don't know if you want to get into that now or later, which direction you want to go into, but to me, everything starts with the ceiling fan. Everything starts with, what level are you at? Which way are you spinning? How fast have you been spinning in this direction, and for how long?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So to me, those are the fundamental things I start with.
Yeah. And it all starts with awareness, because somebody might be listening to this and like, oh, I haven't realized, but I'm spinning down, right? Or most of my days, I'm in stress, anxiety, fear, jealousy, or all these lower frequency emotions. So any tips for somebody who just doesn't have a clue which way they're spinning? And once we have that awareness and that aha moment of like, oh my God, I'm not spinning in the direction I want to be going. What's like a practical 1, 2, 3 steps maybe to make sure we start first slowing down? Because like you said, you don't want to just stuck your hand in the ceiling fan and hurt yourself, and then hopefully switch the direction you're going in.
I want to back up first and talk, because you said it starts with awareness. Mm-hmm. I want to add something to that, because if people only start and stop with that, they're not going to get anywhere. It starts with awareness. And then the second step is taking full 100% responsibility.
Yes.
Because I see so many people. I'm not going to swear on the show, I promise myself.
Oh, please do. It's okay.
It's a personal thing now. It's because I'm catching myself, like, it's my own personal spin. So it's nothing to do with your show or your audience. It's me personally. I see so many people aware, but which lens are they looking at it from? Because most people are aware that there's a problem, but they don't take responsibility of the problem. It's someone else's problem.
Right.
So now they're aware of it, but they're not going in the right direction to solve the issue, because, and this comes into like my 1, 2, 3 steps. So if you want 3 steps, very easy. Step number 1, you're the idiot.
Yes.
Every problem you have in your life right now, it's because of you. And you know what? Go ahead. Tell me I'm wrong. I'll give you the book Zero Limits, and tell him he's wrong too, because it's not. Number 1 is accepting, I'm the idiot, AKA. And so I want to change that word, because a lot of people don't like, especially if you have self-esteem issues, no one wants to tell themselves that they're an idiot.
Right.
If you're like some of the sports people, some people get a kick out of like, I'm such an idiot, and they get driven by that. For you people, use that terminology. If it doesn't motivate you, use this. You're responsible. Mm-hmm. It's my responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. So it's either I'm the idiot or it's I'm responsible for this. Mm-hmm. Step number 1. Step number 2, what's the lesson this is trying to teach you? So whatever you're not happy with, what's the lesson that it's trying to teach you? Because I'm telling you 1,000% of the time, that's why you're stuck where you are. You're doing the same thing over and over again. And the universe is going, I'm giving you a hint. Yeah. I'm giving you a hint. Go in a different direction or change your perception of this. But you can't just keep mulling over and expecting it to change. Mm-hmm. And then step number 3, what would your higher self do? If you were the ultimate version of you, what would that person do in this situation? Mm-hmm. If you got to watch yourself from a movie screen and watch your character would you be like, wow, this person's a superhero? Or would you be like, this person's a piece of shit? Like, what a lazy piece of shit this person is. Like, you have a healthy body of all these resources. You've got a car. You've got the internet. This is what you do with your, I said, you fucking tied. Now you got me riled up. That's what people need to do.
Yeah.
Accept responsibility 100%. And then with gratitude, smile going, what's the lesson this challenge is trying to teach me? Now, let me go back and figure out how to become a better player so that this challenge is not a challenge anymore. How do I do that? Well, what does my higher self say? Like, what's the best version of me say? It's saying, don't eat the hamburger, get up a little bit earlier, do some mobility, take care of your body, invest in your mind and in yourself, and try to be the best version of yourself possible. Do those three things and then start watching your life change. But I can guarantee you, you're not. End of rant.
You can read all you want. This is the joy I wanted to share with my audience, because you're right. And we need to be very honest and blunt with ourselves, because I feel like sometimes we live in a like excuses, you know, and like all the reasons why I can't change. And like we're blaming a lot of people or like external circumstances. But when you realize that it's your responsibility, it switches to feeling empowering. And I feel that switch sometimes it can, right? But when it does, I feel like that switch can put you into action a lot faster, right?
Let's use some people from our mastermind as an example. When people become aware that it's them and not other people, almost every time I have noticed this massive shift, they'll spiral down quickly. Because imagine feeling like the hero of your own problem, because it's not your problem. It's other people's problem. And I'd be amazing if it wasn't for them. So deep down, your belief is like, man, I'm still a rock star. It's just them. It's the world that's the problem. Otherwise, I'd be so rich. I'd be awesome, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Then they get asked a few quick questions like, oh, shit, it's me. Yeah. The immediate response is never, I'm excited. The immediate response, shame, guilt, frustration,
breakdowns
anger.
in front of everybody.
And the thing is, it's every single emotion they felt to the external, now it's on them. And that's where and this is where people either grow or they die. And I don't mean die, but in a little sense.
Yeah.
They either, this is where I see people, this is the hero's journey. This is where people either say, I'm accepting this calling. It is my responsibility. I'm going to step the fuck up. I'm going to be a better player. I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to do all this stuff. Or go, I suck. There's nothing I can do. It is me. Shit. Well, now, I guess there's nothing I can do because I'm the problem. So if I can continue being me and I can't fix it, well, shit, that sucks. That's 97% of the population. That's why we have a healthcare issue. That's why we have an obesity issue. That's why we have it's personal responsibility to are you taking care of your shell? Like you got given this shell. And are you maximizing this shell every moment you have to its potential? And the answer is just no. It doesn't take me long to really gather that from people.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the biggest shame is how many people just live under their potential. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes I get it. If we talk about that 1 to 6, like the 1s, 2s, 3s, 4, 5, 6s, it sucks being in level 1. It sucks, starting to learn something new. It sucks realizing it's going to take me a year or 2 or 3 to get good at this. That's fucking 60 years. You got 10 more at least. Like, who gives a shit? I learn new shit all the time. And it's like, why didn't I do this sooner? And I think it's the, now I'm going to defend the people not changing though. Most people listening to your podcast right now, if we put them in terms of computers, are probably a Commodore 64. Right? If they're 30 years old, 40 years old, they're not the new Mac that just came out, dual processor, 90 gigs, I don't even know, terabytes now, who knows? All updated, ready to go on 5G. They're floppy disk people going, this is the programming I've been given. Exactly. And not only that, but this program has been layered by 40, 30, 20 years of habitual rituals. You're not asking me to change one thing. You're asking me to change the entire profile of who I am. That's why people don't change. They're afraid to say, this is who I am. I can't change. And if I do, oh my God, that person doesn't come with a playbook and a rule book, and everyone's going to think I'm weird and different. It's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable to be different and to be the person I want to be. It's easier to be this. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting learning, really learning a lot in the last couple of years, working with so many good coaches, and now really diving into NLP. Is I used to think people avoid pain and look to gain pleasure.
Right.
But it's not. And I was taught that in sales for a long time. And people seek comfort and what's familiar.
Yeah.
And I can prove to you that people do not avoid pain. How many people stay in a abusive relationship? Mm. They're not seeking pleasure, are they? They're staying in the pain.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. People stay in abusive relationships because of the two big ones. The comfort comes in, not the pain of the abuse, but the comfort's going to come in. Well, at least the family stays together. At least I still have a home. I know where I'm staying. The bills are being paid, and it's familiar. Mm-hmm. And if I can just put up with this, the comfort and the familiarity of everything else, I'll put up with.
Yeah.
And a lot of people right now, they live in so much comfort, and it's so familiar with them. And the other way is so unfamiliar and so uncomfortable. Why would they go that way? Mm-hmm. And with no promise of change.
Right.
Right. So I think that's where, and as a coach, and it's something that we need to do, is that when people come on board, how can we make this as comfortable and familiar as possible for the people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think when we can start doing that and giving them the belief that they can change, giving them, they have to assume the responsibility as well, but being that guide, that mentor to be like, you're not alone. I felt the same way. I went through the same thing. It's normal to be like that. It's not supposed to be easy. Good job. And it's not going to take 3 days or 3 weeks. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we also just need better coaches to help change people that are willing to change.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll get into that maybe a different day.
Another conversation. But yeah, I think that paints the picture of the reasons why it's so hard to change and why people stay quote unquote stuck, So I'm hoping this brings a lot of awareness and planting some seeds that people are listening. And, I coach a lot on habits, right? Like changing your habits. You mentioned belief as well. You have to have the specific beliefs to make sure that you're believing in yourself, that you're actually able to change your habits, change your life. There's so many quotes and sayings. So how do you usually start? Do you usually start with mindset, beliefs, affirmations, doing that inner work, and then trying to change in the physical reality, okay, drinking more water and going for a walk every day? Or does it go all together? Or what's the... it's going to change for everybody.
Step, I'll give my first 3 steps for everyone. Mm-hmm. What do you want? Why do you want it? And why don't you have it? Answer me those 3 questions. And let's start from there.
Right.
When I look at, because most people can't even define to me what they want. Mm-hmm. I look at things very simply. Audit where you are right now. Really, and we'll talk about that later. Audit where you are, find out where you want to go, find out why you're stuck, and then create a plan to get you there.
That's simple.
And it's really, and in terms of why you're not there, number one reason it's you.
Yeah, responsibility.
It's your programming or your habits, or a combination of that. Your skill set, your programming, and your habits. Mm-hmm. Let me see your skill set. Do you have the skills to get what you want? The habits that you have every day.
Yeah.
And then your programming is it sabotaging you from getting there. And then let's take a look at your plan. It's the map is not right. And the programmer, so the person driving the car can't drive and the car has no wheels. The map is wrong. Goal setting, getting what you want, whether it's weight loss, finance, it's really not that hard. Ask any human being, just tell me in detail, what do you want in your life, with your family, as a father, in your relationship, how you handle money, how you handle your friendships. Just tell me what you want and who you want to be in those categories.
Who you want to be is important as well. Yeah, I like that.
And, tell me why you want these things. You want $100,000, you want $1 million. Why? And if it's a good enough reason, then tell me, why don't you have it? If I can have these three things, I can guarantee you I can help you. Mm-hmm. Now, when someone can't answer one of these three, or the answers are horrible, I have my answers already.
Right.
Like, you know, so it's, I would start with that. Like, what do you want? Why do you want it? And why don't you have it?
Mm-hmm. And asking yourself why you want it many times to give you the proper deeper reason. Times. Yeah, which is what I work on with my clients. Like, I want to lose weight. I give a why do you want to lose weight? And then we get to the deeper root reason. And then you realize, it's actually not that I want. I want to feel a certain way. I want to be a certain person.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. I like
Where
that.
Where do you want to go next?
Where are we going next? I'm loving this.
Claire, so let's use some examples. I mean, like, someone wants to lose weight. And like you just said, okay, like, what do you really want? Is it really to lose the 5 or 10 pounds, or is the feeling of losing 5 pounds and being more active and more energized and having more confidence and feeling better in your clothes? Why do you want that? Why do you want that? Why do you want that? And then, like, it's the why don't you have it that I love. You know how much I love psychology and sales and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The amount of power that goes into personal responsibility is enormous. So when I ask someone, why don't you have it, instead of me telling them, well, I looked at your meal plan. This is why you're fat. This is why. So it's so obvious. But when you ask someone, why don't you have it? Such a powerful question, because it makes them dig deep. And that's usually when it's like, do I want it bad enough?
Yeah.
I think every human being, if you put them in a grocery store, could compile a list of healthy and non-healthy foods. Mm-hmm. There'll be some gray areas, and maybe, like, you know, between granola bars and stuff like that, natural and unnatural. Everyone knows where they are.
Right.
Just, why aren't we eating them? So it's not knowledge-based, motivation-based, you know, or it's confusion-based, or whatever it may be. But, you know, most of that why don't you have it, as a coach, you're also looking for the personal responsibility, or you're also looking at their languaging. I don't have it because I don't have time. I don't have it because I don't have it. I don't have it. You can start seeing, like, their vocabulary and some of their programming with that question as well. But 3 very, very, very important questions to ask.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, don't you feel like then all the excuses come up when you ask that question, right? So is that what you're looking for? Perceived excuses. You know what I mean?
It's a mixture. Yeah. So the excuses can only be seen from the lens of the person giving it to me. Mm-hmm. So it's their perceived excuses that give me a better understanding of where they're at right now, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're excuses. Because I might have to ask more questions to be, is it really time? Is it really this? Is it really this? And usually what it comes back to is that it's just them.
Yeah. And I'm saying that because I see it in my clients sometimes. And again, like, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, well, the answers to that question is basically excuses. I have clients that I don't have time, I'm not motivated. And right away they'll say, I know these are all excuses, but, you know, and what comes after the but usually gives you the deeper reason why you don't have what you want, you know?
How many of your clients say that they don't have enough time?
A lot of them.
Okay, let's debunk that now. If you're a listener right now, let's give you a better approach to use this, because I can't steal your time and you can't steal my time. Mm-hmm.
And what is time anyway, right?
We're going to get there. So we can't create time. We can't get rid of time. And we try to hold it in our hands like it's water, but it's not. To me, I don't like time management. I like mission management. Managing my missions and my tasks and allowing my life to flow. So I always have enough time in my day. I have to go into my day thinking that. And I've worked with so many people, just by changing your languaging on time, you tend to find more of it and you get less hassles. The person who, you know, your avatar who wakes up, takes a shower, and is getting the kids to school is not mission management. You know, the mission in the morning should have everything ready, the shower the night before, and try to spend 20 minutes of quality time with your kids before you rush them off to school. Right. It should be quality family time. And then your brain starts to work a little bit differently. You know, I want to use traffic as a way to do deep breathing exercises to decrease my stress, so that when I get to work, I'm late, but I'm now actually way stress less than I was before. Right. Or use it for my podcast time. So it's time's an interesting one, because I fought with that and I teach it so much, and everyone has. It's until you die, everyone's basically just collecting time. And you've heard me say this quote 1,000 times from Jim Rohn. And, life is not the passing of time. Life is a collection of experiences, their intensity, and their frequency. Mm-hmm. And I live my day every day like that. So if it's not just the passing of time, it's not just like I got to call it 9, I call it 10, it's a busy call day, and I got this. Right. No. Life is a collection of each of those moments, the intensity and the frequency. So did I go through that time with some love and some fun, or is it through stress? So when you're writing your emails, how are you mission managing that time? Mm-hmm. Are you doing it with like, I wish I wasn't doing this right now? Because that's probably why you don't have enough time. Because you're looking at it so differently. You're overcommitting. You're not delegating. Most people I know are just like, they have so many pit stops in their day and they don't even realize it. Mm-hmm. It's like, I bless Sarah's heart. She's the best woman in the world, but driving with her is just the worst thing. I hate it. It's like every 90 minutes you're stopping to pee, and then I'm watching you drink more water. I'm like, why are you drinking water just to pee? I need to stay hydrated. I'm like, you keep making me stop the car like every 90 minutes. I just want to get there. But a lot of us have these little pee breaks and these pit stops and checking your phone and 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there. And they're like, I'm so overwhelmed. And like there's so many ways to create more efficiency once you have the awareness and the responsibility of going, how can I make my day more efficient? Mm-hmm. Anyone that I've talked to that has time management issues, I'm like, when was the last time you did a time audit? And tell me 5 ways you make your time more efficient. They look at me like, I'm like, huh? Yeah. Like, so obviously you don't care about it, do you? Because you never thought about changing it. You just go through it. Mm-hmm. Right? So for those who are reacting to life, complain a lot. Those who write their life and write their script tend not to. It's just a challenge that you change it the next day. Yeah. So the time management people need to start looking at time differently. Mm-hmm. That's a big one. And we've done so much work on that, like from deep work to
doing the time audit, scheduling, and like days and boundaries with time. Yeah.
It's like when I look at time, for anyone who really feels stressed about time, get to know Jim Rohn, look at some of his time management stuff, but really start planning your weeks. Like if you don't plan your week and then determine where things are going off or causing you stress, you'll never get there. And then, so I think every one of my clients does time management differently. Mm. And I never do. I rarely do it the same 2 weeks in a row. I'm on Excel. I'm on Asana. I'm on notepads this week. I'm on one-pagers that I have that I'm trying this week. I'm always trying to find ways. But I mean, do you follow the same workout program every time? No. Yeah. It's kind of fun to change things up. As long as the outcome is me going, cool, I'm on top of things. I don't give a shit what method I use. Mm-hmm. But every day of my life, I audit my time. Every single day. Mostly like even moments of my day, I'm auditing and rest is part of my, cool, I want to rest right now. I want to chill. I want to have some fun. I want to have recess, but I don't let time slip me, man. I just do not let time slip. I don't get bored. I hate that word bored. Mm-hmm. And anyone who has time management issues, give me 15 minutes of your time, and I would guarantee we'll get to the root of what those problems are by asking you some tough questions and just getting you more aware and just thinking, like, what can I eliminate today that I don't have to do tomorrow? And when you start doing that, that changes a lot. Most people are just pit stopping all throughout their day that they don't need to do.
Yeah, for sure. And if we talk about T time, TEA, so you mentioned a lot about T, which is for time. E is for energy. So energy management, because obviously you can manage your time, quote unquote, and do everything that we just talked about. But if you don't have the energy that goes with it, you're not going to get the things you want to get done. You're not going to be spiraling in the ceiling fan the proper way. Let's talk about the E in the T time.
Yeah. So T to me is managing your T is the most important thing. Everyone that I talk to, everyone I work with, they're so quick to say, I want to get this. I want to do this. I want to do this. Here's my goals. I want to lose 5 pounds. I want to be more productive, blah, blah, blah. They just puke all these things that they're trying to climb and accomplish. Mm-hmm. And they're all great things. And, one of the things that we've talked about a lot, and one of the things that I mention a lot is that unless there's 3 bouncers that are going to let you in to this game called success and growth. And these bouncers, these motherfuckers are tough, man. Like they will knock you on your ass faster than anyone else. And these little managers, I call them the time manager, the energy manager, and that attitude manager. And you gotta make sure all 3 of them are on your side. And we just finished talking about the time manager. And if you don't respect it, you'll find yourself wasting a lot of time and not having a lot of time. When it comes to the energy, this is where I'm looking at the human body like a cell phone, or like your Mac or your computer and the battery life left.
Right.
How many people are waking up and their battery is 100% at the start of the day?
Mm-hmm.
I beg to find a lot of people that say my battery's 100% every morning.
Yeah.
They don't spend time plugging in their battery throughout the day.
Mm.
And then at nighttime, they wonder why they are in the red. And a lot of times they're just living life in the red, and then coffees and adrenaline, cortisol rushing, all that kind of stuff. And then compile that. So I'm looking at really looking at sleep and nutrition. How are you maximizing the efficiency of if your car was if your body was a car, like the fuel that's going in it, the lubrication, all that stuff. Like, are you optimizing the performance that you have the capacity for in your body? Right. So are you in the green? Are you mobile? Can you run, jump, play, move? Are you maximizing this thing that we have? The brain and the energy of it and everything like that. That's where I feel people like just that fundamental, like you're in the red. You wake up and you need coffee to get barely out of the red.
Yeah. How
about you maximize your sleep? Like just really focus on a month of I'm going to dive into everything I can learn about sleep and maximization and recovery. Because maybe then when I wake up, I'm 20% more energized. Life isn't as hard.
Exactly.
And then the food that you're putting in your body, if someone was sick, would you give that food to them to make them healthy? And the answer is no. Then don't eat it yourself. Assume you're sick. Just assume you're sick all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
That's a good
nourish
way.
your body, nourish your body to the point where it starts to thank you. Don't say it's not that bad. Don't say it's just a little bit. No, just say how can I help you for once? I'm going to say thank you, body. For 6 weeks, assume that you're leasing your body and the lease is up, and it's going to say, you know what, fuck you, I'm kicking you on getting someone else in, unless you treat me right for the next 6 weeks. Lease is up. I got high cholesterol. My heart's, I got heart medication. You put 20 pounds on me. I gave you a shot. You got 6 weeks to see if I want to renew this lease. Think about how things start to change.
Yeah.
The way you walk through the grocery store is a little bit different. You start drinking a little bit more water. You start cutting out the coffee a little more. You're a little more mindful of how your body moves and what it needs. Again, very simple questions, and it's not hard for people to take that personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. And attitude.
Well, now we're getting into the frequency, right? And attitude to me is above everything. If I had to manage one above all of them, it'd be my attitude over my energy or my time. I'd rather be pressed for time and have a great attitude. I'd rather be tired as shit in the red, but just be smiling and just full of love.
Mm-hmm.
Attitude to me dictates everything else. And we look back to I look back at sports days, if I could have the best guy on the team and he had a shitty attitude, or someone who wasn't the best guy on the team and he had the best attitude, brought everyone else, who would I want? I want to be the best player. It's the guy with the best attitude. Growing up, man, watching people work for 20 years, it was never the best skilled person. It was the one with the best attitude. One that made you feel something. It made you feel good. It went out of their way, and just, people that were always positive, and filled a room up with some cheer and some laughter, and create those intensities and those frequencies for other people.
Yeah.
And to me, frequency, and we talk about attitude. Attitude to me is, the radio station, and it's coming in nice and clear. Shitty attitude is like a shittier radio station, and it's static.
Mm-hmm.
Which would you rather want to be around, and which one do you want to,
listen to
layer a lot more, listen to, right? So to me, attitude is one of the biggest questions, is asking yourself, how do I want to feel today?
Mm-hmm.
There's a great app. I just pulled it up a little while ago before we're talking. It's called Mood Meter.
Yeah, the app?
The app is, I think every human being should spend 30 days using that app. And what I love about the app is I've never thought about my emotions with so much complexity before. Happy, sad, tired, mad, angry, kind of colors. Here's some primary colors, here's some primary emotions. And one of the things that I found that helped me the most, I'm a recovering anger management fiend. I was a very angry angry person, yelled very easily, slamming doors. Like I did not handle emotions very well, but I only knew like sad, angry, and mad. So it's like, if I had to pick one, like that's my default. And really, really becoming more proficient, more, I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Deepening my knowledge of emotions was one of the best ways for me to learn to start controlling them. Mm-hmm. And when I went onto this app, I'm like, there's how many? There's like 100 of them. I'm like, I never really thought about that. And like, even to give you like an example of the difference between feeling frustrated, angry, worried, concerned, disappointed, discouraged, lonely, sullen, and desolate. That's a huge range of emotions.
Right.
And if I'm feeling kind of lonely, it's a little bit different than disappointed, but they're kind of the same. They're not that far off. You know, and then there's down, disappointed, and glum. They're not the same either. And each of those kind of has a little bit of a different way of getting me back to how I want to feel. Mm-hmm. And what I liked using this app for was, so let's say I'm nervous, irritated. I've been that more times. I'm feeling very irritated. Well, what most people do is they tell you why they're irritated. So-and-so did this, and so-and-so did this, and the traffic, and the to me. What I like about this app is like, I'm fumed up. I'm annoyed. Something happened. I didn't get the email properly. I'm like, oh, I'm irritated. I push the button. They're like, great. Why are you irritated? Work, family, or other? I'm like, okay, so it's work. Well, what are the causes of your emotions? Capture. So now I can start going like, so-and-so didn't do this. Okay. Next. Would you like to shift your emotion or stay in this state? And every time I use this app, it stops me in my tracks because it's like, I do have that choice, don't I?
Yeah.
And what I like too is that it differentiates the fact if I'm irritated with work and it asks me, is this work or home? I don't bring it to the home. I don't bring it to Sarah. Mm-hmm. And it helps me kind of like now that cognitive dissonance of stepping away from it and then going, why am I feeling this way, as opposed to being stuck feeling this way.
Right.
And this app is amazing because I'm like, no, I don't want to feel this way anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no, I want to shift. Think of the last time you were filled with joy. If you are patient in a moment of anger, you will escape 100 days of sorrow. Mm. And I have the choice now to be like, cool, I can tell it what it, use the instructions, think of a good time. And we did this in our last coaching call, just shift the way you're thinking of the situation, then everything else starts to shift. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly I don't feel irritated anymore. I feel another emotion. I can click on the emotion going, okay, you know what? I feel at ease. Cool. Click.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of just stop in the moment. Think to yourself, where's this stress coming from? Mm-hmm. Why am I sitting in it? What can I do to change it?
Yeah.
So the attitude one is, it's the golden key. Like it really, really is the golden key that I feel that more people need to start using and putting the key in and then opening up some doors with maximizing higher frequency, higher vibration, and just being that magnet of high vibration.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to say, and I think I wrote that in my check-ins a few times, like regardless of how I'm feeling, my attitude is always great because I accept that life is happening for me, not to me. So we're not saying that like you put your head in the sand and everything's unicorn and rainbows and you don't get sad or angry. Like we have every right to feel every emotion, but then what are you going to do about it? Are you going to like suppress it? Are you going to use it to fuel that anger and then have a shitty day? Or are you just going to listen to it and then decide to shift it and keep a positive attitude with whatever the message that emotion was bringing to you? So
100%. Like we said, like your reaction dictates the direction. And how long you stay in that state for is what usually keeps people up. And then you get the resentment and all the other negative, and you're just trapped in that. Now you're in the spiral. Now you're in the spiral of just negativity and crabs. And you usually find other people like that as well who agree with you, and they complain all the time, and you feel good because they're complaining. So now you're just stuck with other people who complain, but you feel good about it. And now you're like, this is just who I am.
Exactly. Just gonna, rotate downwards in the ceiling fan forever and attract more of that, which goes back to your frequency and your energy. So it all comes back full circle. It really does.
The ceiling fan always does, no matter which way you're spinning, will always come back to full circle.
Yeah. And I could talk about this for hours, but I want to chat a little bit about alignment because I feel a lot of people chase alignment. Some of them don't even know what it feels like to feel aligned. That was my word for 2020. And once you feel what it feels like to be in alignment, and you have the awareness, obviously, and you audit and you do all the things we've talked about so far, you sense it right away when you're out of alignment. And you mentioned something to me a couple of weeks ago about like your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, your actions. So yeah, let's chat about that a little bit. Because
the first thing I like to do is ask people how important alignment is to them. That's important to start with. Because if you don't think it's important, then the rest of this conversation doesn't matter.
Right.
Let's just talk with me and you, and maybe some of the people listening. How important would you say that alignment is for you?
Probably one of the most important things in my life.
Important for what?
For my state, how I'm feeling every day. Because when I feel aligned, everything else flows and I feel impactful and I can do my mission, help, and blah, blah, blah.
So the importance is for your flow and your mission, not just to stay in state, because you can stay in state, but not have your flow in your mission.
Right. It's
for the average person.
Yeah.
What you can do with this alignment, right?
Exactly.
What if someone isn't a really big go-getter? They don't really give a shit. What's alignment mean to them?
Maybe just feeling like they're flowing through their days with their responsibilities, the kids, the chores, the work, and just like I finished my day. I'm not drained. I was in a good mood. I felt aligned with how I was feeling. Yeah.
Up until recently, I didn't realize how many people, including myself, had a hard time defining alignment and the importance of it, and then defining if we're in it or not. And it's interesting because I asked so many people, what does it mean to you? And everyone says something different.
Yeah.
And you can tell that it's kind of like an uneasy question for a lot of people. So if you're listening to this right now, I want you to jot down, what is your definition of alignment? Write it down and as if you can explain it to someone else too. And I found a lot of people went with the feeling.
Yeah.
It's when I feel this, it's when this happens and that stuff. But it was very hard to articulate to other people what it really meant. And, you know, the way I tried to explain it that I actually got from somewhere else was genius. Now, I've added one thing to it, but when I read it originally, it was just 3 components. So let's just start with the 3 and we'll talk about the one that I added. But I want you to think about a teeter-totter. And now I want you to, so in a teeter-totter has to be balanced, right? Unless something's right in the middle of it. If it's to one side, and you can only put one item on that teeter-totter, where do you want to put it? In the middle. Imagine 3 teeter-totters stacked on top of each other.
Right.
How hard it is to keep 3 items now in alignment. Now, these 3 things, and this is, it was so beautiful when I heard this. Alignment is when your thoughts, words, and actions are in harmony and in balance. And that blew my mind. So I also think about alignment as a car driving 100 miles an hour in the fast lane. If the driver is skilled and isn't weaving and distracting, great. Go 100 miles an hour and you're going fast.
Yeah.
You got a 10-year-old on there going 100 miles an hour, you're going to crash. You don't have the skill set.
Right.
Right. Alignment to me is also like when you're going 100 miles an hour and you're staying aligned, there's very little friction. If you're going 100 miles an hour and you stick your hand out the window, what happens to your hand? Whew, almost hit my drums there. It goes flying back and you feel resistance. Right. Well, that's you going off center. And so think about this now. When I'm in alignment, to me, alignment, and I miss riding motorcycles, and I won't tell you the speed that I'm at, but it's like being on that like 1400 Ninja and you're tucked in and you're going as fast as you can, but you have to be perfectly centered. Even around the turns, like you stick your leg out, your arm out, your head up, you do something different, boom, you're done. That's perfect alignment. How do we keep that in our life? Your words, your thoughts, and your actions have to be in harmony and in balance. How many times do you write emails and oh, fuck, I got to read emails today. Dude, you lost. You're out of alignment. You just fell off the bike.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to do this workout today. Oh, chicken again. Oh, I hate broccoli. Anything that starts with, you're done. Like, you just lost. Does not matter how small. And I catch people in conversation every day and they don't even realize it. The thoughts they have. Oh, glad that call was over. Oh, I hope they don't call me. Out of alignment. Out of alignment. Out of alignment. And I think it's taken me 43 years to figure this out. And on a daily basis, like I ask myself the question, how do I want to feel? What are my targets? And you say, I mean, for those that don't follow me, my morning routines are early. They're fun. I love them. But to me, my morning routines are to get my vibe as centered and as high as possible. You know, I'm getting out, I'm cleaning the park, I'm doing my meditation, I'm feeling some good stuff with my ears. I'm not on social. I'm not checking my emails. I don't give a shit what's going on in the world right now. I just got to show up to be as the ultimate player of me. I need to get on that bike and go 200 miles an hour. And just go boom. I don't care about what's happening outside of that. I need to just dial in. I encourage people. I want you guys to do a thought, word, action challenge. How many times do you catch yourself with the thoughts or the words or the actions that are not in harmony with how you want to feel?
Yeah, with your higher self and how you want to feel. And yeah.
And so it's flow to me now is the constant, never-ending battle of trying to maintain harmony and balance. It's like, you know, Peter Twist had this wobble board back in the day where it had like a thing in the center and a flat thing on top, and you're constantly just trying to like stay like you're never standing still.
No,
you're constantly just kind of like doing this back and forth, and that's trying to maintain balance. You accept the flows and the challenges and the highs and the lows and the different seasons that come up, and like that's the fucking hard part of life. It's just like, it does not want to keep you in balance. Right. And it's always going to throw things at you to take you out of that flow, like traffic and other idiots on the street that are trying to drive with you. That's part of it. And you just become better at managing the thoughts, which manage the emotions. The one that I added was the emotions. You start managing your words. You start managing your actions. There's a lot of threes today, a lot of three questions, three this, three that. But, you know, when it comes to alignment, again, like, define, write down on a sheet of paper, what does alignment mean to you? And if you don't think that lack of alignment is not preventing you from growing, you're nuts. Like it's the lack of alignment right now that's keeping you in a negative spin. So part of this is just starting to like, how are you thinking about this? What are the words that you're using? And then do your actions actually match? I want to lose 5 pounds. Well, do your actions match that or just your words? And maybe your words and your action match it, but your thoughts are just like, I hate this. I don't want to do this. Why am I doing this? Like, this is fair. Well, you got to bring, you know, the gratitude thoughts. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I get to work out today. I'm so grateful for this food, grateful for my next call, grateful for this, grateful for that. And literally feeling that. That's when alignment starts to come into play. And you've lived this firsthand.
Oh yeah.
It's fun to watch when you start to realize the immense power of it, but it's also hard. It's hard to maintain.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain. It's constant awareness, constant auditing, and it's just shifting, listening, calibrating, and it's a lot of work. That's why not a lot of people do the actual work. But then, like I said, once you feel what it feels like to be in your 200 mile per hour lane, you're getting closer and closer to your higher self. And when you have a strong mission, like I do, or when you just want to be the best mom for your kids or whoever you want to be, then the work is always worth it, you know?
Yeah. I find using the Mood app helpful for for maintaining the whole alignment thing. Because to me, lack of alignment is just, I don't want to feel this way. I'm angry. Right. Like no one ever, so put it this way. Let me shoot out some words to you and let me know if anyone would complain that they're out of alignment if I say these things to you. I'm so ecstatic. I'm out of alignment. I'm so exhilarated. I'm out of alignment. I'm so festive, upbeat, surprised, cheerful, motivated, inspired, excited, optimistic, enthusiastic. If anyone said these words to you, would that mean they're out of alignment?
Nope.
So, but would you want to be ecstatic 24 hours a day?
Probably not.
So that's out of alignment.
But you can have different feelings and emotions that matches your alignment state, right?
So now defining what does alignment to me means I can just, whew.
Yeah.
So if I said, could you be fulfilled 24 hours a day?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you be loving 24 hours a day?
Yeah.
Content.
Yeah.
So those first emotions I gave you were too high. That's out of alignment. Because I do not want to feel exhilarated like I'm on a fucking roller coaster 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
I wouldn't mind pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind pieces of it. At the same time, you know what? I can't imagine my life without ever being frustrated once. Mm. I wouldn't grow. I wouldn't try taking chances. So it's we're not avoiding the exhilaration. We're not avoiding the frustration, but really finding for us what we want to maintain and feel throughout our day. And it's me, if I'm going to be off balance, throw me on this side, throw me on the exhilaration, the fun, and let me celebrate. But at the same time, let me ask you this. How many times has a week gone by where you haven't been frustrated once? Mm. Has a week gone by where you haven't been?
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a matter of avoiding them. I look forward to being frustrated to give me some more clues to level up. Mm-hmm. Right. And then, so to me, it's I'm frustrated. Next question. Why? From where? What lesson didn't I learn? And what would my higher self do to prevent this from happening or to get through the situation? Mm-hmm. And then suddenly it's like, now I feel invigorated. I feel great. I feel proud that I accomplished this. And boom, we're back in alignment again.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's swinging back and forth. Mm-hmm. Like alignment is where I want to spend most of my time. It's the negative emotions that I need in my life so I can grow. How I deal with those situations put me on the other side, which is the high energy, elation, high fives, and I go right back to my flow. Yeah. As opposed to just staying on one side. Right. So I'm kind of going back and forth. And to me, that's the growth. That's the growth. Yeah. I'm not avoiding anything. I don't avoid any negativity. All I have to do is turn on social media and turn on the radio. It's not hard to find.
Yeah, exactly.
It's everywhere. Yeah. You know, I think every human will have a different take on flow, alignment,
even fulfillment or happiness. You know, like I think, like you said, you have to start with what's your definition, because mine will be different than yours, and what state you want to be in. So to me, I always tell you, like, I want to feel calm, I want to feel grounded, and I want to feel present. I don't need to feel joyful and like spontaneous and like super energetic. But when I feel these three emotions, I know that like I'm really close to this alignment, right? So I think our listeners have a lot of journaling to do after this conversation, and great questions to ask themselves. Yeah. Well, thanks, Joe. This has been amazing. Where can we learn from you, follow you? If anybody is interested in coaching or just, taking some more inspiring content on social media is what I was trying to say.
I don't like social a whole lot, and all of our websites are being rebuilt. And I played the Hitch approach last year to coaching. And if you've never seen the movie Hitch with Will Smith, it doesn't make any sense to you, but we just took everything down. Most of getting to me would be getting through you to get to me. Now, if people want to follow a little bit more about me, what I do on Instagram, Joe_Arko, ARKO, is the best place to go. If you decide to go on there, send me a private message, say hi, say, hey, listen to it. If you have any questions, things that you want to challenge on, discuss more about, or just rant about, I'd love to chat with you. I will definitely respond. If you're a friend of Claudia's and if you're listening, I will definitely make time to respond to you. And
thank you.
Listening today. Yeah. Thank
you so much, Joe. And I finish every interview with the same question for all my guests. Putting you on the spot. What's your favorite quote and why?
I've already said it today.
Let's repeat it.
So let's leave it at this. And for the rest of your life, remember this. Life is not the passing of time. Life is a collection of experiences, their frequency, and their intensity. So make those experiences more frequent and higher intensity, and you will have a dream life.
Joe, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Claudia, for having me. I had a blast today.
Thank you. J'espère que cette conversation awesome t'a inspiré. Et d'ailleurs, I would love to hear back from you. Rejoins Karmakin sur les réseaux sociaux and tag me in a post pour partager ce que tu retiens de cet épisode. Je serais vraiment grateful aussi si tu pouvais me laisser un rating and review pour le podcast. Ça me permet d'avoir un impact positif sur plus de gens comme toi. Merci beaucoup d'avoir été à l'écoute, and until next time, je te souhaite une journée awesome.